Oh my goodness, am I really here with the Dr. Eric Roman? Hi, Eric. How are
Hey,
you?
Victoria, it is so great to be here with you. And my, oh my, we got some exciting stuff to talk about, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Hey, guys, we thought we would take a minute just to bring you behind the scenes. We are vigorously planning for the 20th anniversary productivity workshop in September in Frisco, and Eric is going to take the stage as part of our clinical calibration course for young doctors. Eric, tell us about the course that you're doing here at our program.
Victoria, what we're talking about is how young doctors, and honestly, doctors at any stage of their development, can calibrate their life to their professional career. Calibrating your life and your career, because one of the challenges I've had the joy over my journey. By the way, Victoria, I don't know that a lot of people know, I actually attended the PDA workshop before I started practicing dentistry. Like, I was still in residency at the time. And so my entire life has been productive,
I
right?
remember you couldn't even grow a beard back then.
Couldn't even grow it. No, I might have had like 2 little blonde facial hairs. How times have changed, right? And so, it had such a massive impact on me throughout my career in PDA. So what a really cool fitting way to hopefully channel some of that incredible career opportunity to the audience and the attendees. One of the things that I found in coaching, in hiring well more than triple digits of associates, and teaching clinical directors, we've got a really hard space inside of our profession right now with the plight of the employed dentist, the dental associate. And we have extraordinarily high turnover. We have ridiculously poor data. And what that really means is that our young doctors aren't getting what they wanted out of their career. And the second thing that I discovered is that financial success does not translate into people getting what they want out of their lives. And if we can't connect our financial success and our performance in doing good while we're doing good in our practices to getting what we want out of our incredible lives, my Victoria, like, why are we doing this in the first place? So I'm going to give all the attendees some really tactical strategies to be able to take back and put into their lives ASAP so that they're going to get what they want out of their dental career.
Oh man, I love that so much. Well, thank you so much for being a part of it. In September, this whole program, the first of its kind in the nation, because it's coming from PDA and we've never done this before, but it is a program specific to associate doctors. So if you're an owner and you're contemplating hiring an associate, or you've just hired an associate, your associate is stuck in their productivity at 200, 300, 400 an hour, something like 3,000 a day. We can boost that. We can accelerate that and quickly get your associates up to speed where they're producing like an owner. But more importantly, they've got life balance and they're grounded in their happiness and their career. Dr. David Port talks about that a lot, his research study and his doctorate degree, the value creation for doctors. And it really is about values alignment between the work I love and the life I'm building. And so, Eric, there is no one better in our industry, whether you're young or young at heart, that couldn't benefit from your one life system and making sure that your life path is aligned with your career path. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Victoria. I'm excited to see you and the team in September, and can't wait to see who else is going to be joining us there. It's going to be an event that you don't want to miss. So here's your chance. Sign your butt up and get out there. We'll see you in Texas.
Doctor, are you living the dream or just dreaming of living? It is my honor to announce the PDA 20th Anniversary Special Conference this September 12th to the 14th in Frisco, Texas, the nation's leading course on dental practice growth. If you feel isolated as a leader who is frustrated that your schedule is unproductive, maybe your team is disjointed, or your systems are inefficient, this is the conference for you. The PDA 20th Anniversary Conference has all new features, including keynote speaker Emmitt Smith, who is a Pro Football Hall of Fame running back and entrepreneur. You can choose your own educational track to customize your learning experience. Go to www.productivedentist.com and click the pop-up, or select Productive Dentist Academy Conference under the Dental CE and Events tab. That's www.productivedentist.com. Seating is limited. Register today, and we look forward to helping you make your dreams become reality.
I don't want you to be producing $5 million a year and be unhappy. I don't want you to produce $1 million a year and be unhappy. What I want you to do is produce whatever amount of dentistry, take care of as many people as you love taking care of, and enjoying it.
Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Bruce B. Baird, and you're listening to the Productive Dentist Podcast. In this podcast, I will give you everything that I've learned over the last 40 years in dentistry, working with thousands of dentists. I'll tell you, it's not that my way is the only way. It's just one that has worked extremely well for me, and I'd love to share that with you, so you too can enjoy the choices and lifestyle that productivity allows. More time for things you love, increased pay, better team relationships, and lowered stress. Let's get into it with this week's episode of the Productive Dentist Podcast.
Hi, this is Dr. Bruce Baird with the Productive Dentist Podcast, and I've actually got one of the top guys in the country as far as working with doctors to get them up and going in their businesses and getting them enrolled in the Productive Dentist Academy. Brent Hogan's with us today. Brent, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Bruce. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
Yeah, we're, what we were wanting to talk about is kind of where do we start? Where do you start to build a successful practice? And, one of the things I've always shared with people is I first looked at it as I wanted to be successful. I wanted to have a model practice, but how was I going to have a model practice if I didn't know what a model practice was? I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like, and so I began looking at other dentists that were my friends that had been out. I went in the military for 4 years, so they had a 4-year head start on me in private practice. And so I had a great time going to their offices and learning about their business. And I actually took a yellow notepad with me, which I'm a big on yellow notepads, but I took that with me and I began to look at everything in their office, how their waiting room was set up, how everything was done in their business. And then I asked them, if you could do it over again, what would you do different? And I went into 7 of my buddies' offices just to try to circumvent, some of the issues that they had had. That didn't mean I didn't have issues, trust me, but it just allowed me to do the things with a little bit of guidance from other friends and people. And I would call them mentors because they were 4 years ahead of me. I think the word mentor, in many cases, you would think that has to be somebody 30 years older than you. That's where you want to be. But don't discount the fact that you have friends that are very successful. And why reinvent the wheel? It just makes no sense to me to reinvent the wheel. So not that the wheel can't be better, but you won't be able to get to that point until you've gotten to a place of confidence and success. And that's the things that I looked at.
Well, Bruce, you were always a great reflector in your career. You always took time. I know at the end of the year, every year, you took time and reflected. You talked about this in the conference where you shedded friends in your life that or individuals that didn't bring gain to your life or positivity to you. What can you bring into that in the business side of things? What would you done differently? Where would have you looked at the time and the support that you would have said, hey, I wish I would have done this in this phase of your career from the beginning, middle, towards the end, because that's in the process of really discovering who you are, to shed some time off for people's careers, because a lot of times they beat their heads for many years coming out. They get out of dental school, they do go a DSO route, they go associate, or they come purchase, but they're sitting there on a hamster wheel, almost seems. When did you wish that you would have said, I wish I would have asked more questions?
That's a great question right there. I wish I would ask that question really early on in my career. I felt like in order for me to be successful, I had to be the best clinical dentist I could possibly be. And I went to all the courses, Pete Dawson, I've told people Carl Misch. I've trained with the best people. And I spent a lot of time doing that, an enormous amount of money doing that early in my career. In my first 4 years in private practice, I probably spent $200,000. And this is in 1984. So that's a significant investment in my education. I wish I would have spent some of that time uh, on the business aspects of dentistry. On clinical is fantastic, and I've got lots of friends that have gone through the clinical continuums just like I did, and never really did anything with it. They went to the courses and they ended up doing just bread and butter dentistry, and that's okay. You do what you like to do, but from my perspective, I really wish I would have spent a little more time. Now, that's not to say I wasn't throwing in courses along the way. I went, listened to Paul Homley talking about communication skills and profitability. I kind of go down the list. Whitehall management. And there were just a lot of those courses I also did, but I think I waited too long to take them. It would have been nice. Michael Schuster went through his courses. And I think all of those things helped me as I went along in practice, helped me to formulate what my game was, what I like to do, what I enjoyed in dentistry. And I never wanted to be just an implant guy. I never wanted to be just a veneer dentist. I didn't want to do, I never wanted to do fillings all day. I like, and we've built this philosophy at Productive Dentist Academy. I like a comprehensive approach. In other words, if a dentist comes to see me, I want to have the skills and the knowledge to be able to tell them their best path forward. What is your best path? And I've said this a lot. I believe that our dentistry should have a chance of lasting the rest of your life. Whereas I don't think, I would guess that 80 to 90% of the dentists out there don't believe that. And that's really where risk factors come into play, and how we, John Coyson teaching me risk factors and how does that fit into this world of dentistry, and me becoming a consultant or an advocate for my patients. I love being more of an advocate instead of telling you, Brent, you got a broke tooth here, we need to do a crown on it. And not even considering why did it break, not even considering, hey, you've got some gum problems. Why do you have gum problems? Not even considering, erosion, not even considering those things. Whereas now I can't even move forward without considering those things first, because I'm not going to tell you how to fix something until you understand why it happened. And once you understand why it happened, game, set, match. Now patients say yes to treatment. They say yes to coming to courses. They say yes to pretty much all of this. And I've said this before, money has never really played a role in my treating of patients. I always wanted to be treated anywhere I go. I want to be treated at the highest level, and I will spend money there. When I go to a great restaurant, they remember my name, they know me. I'm going to have the best bottle of wine, and we're going to have the best steaks, and we're going to have a great time. So I wanted to have that kind of a business. I wanted to have a place where people loved coming, and I never worried about the finances. Money always took care of itself when we took great care of the patients. And to me, that's the wave of the future. And we see more and more people out there doing lots of different things. I'm doing aligners now, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing that, but never with not never, but without a philosophy of care. And my philosophy of care is comprehensive evaluation. Now, if a patient says, hey, Bruce, right now, I don't want to talk about anything else in my mouth. I just want to talk about this front tooth. I say, okay, let's talk about your front tooth. I may then at a certain point in the conversation go, well, I understand that. You got some wear on here. Do you mind if I take a look at the rest? just so that I can kind of get an idea why this happened, they go, oh no, I don't mind that. And so that helped me to get the verbal skills to be able to ask patients permission to look at their entire mouth. And so the one thing you asked the question, what would I have maybe done different? Or I would have probably taken some business and communication courses earlier in my career. It was 7 years into private practice, 8 years into private practice when I was actually burned out and I was seeing way too many people and I was doing not piecemeal, yeah, probably some, but I mean, I saw so many new patients because we had a great reputation, but I could not satisfy myself that we were doing a great job. And not until, and so I heard a great statement at Dykema this past week from a dentist from Australia, Lincoln Harris, who has got some great things going on. But he said, you know, most dentists never get to where they want to be because they're afraid. They're fearful. And fear is a huge thing that people don't take the step forward. But my job is to convince dentists to take that step forward, to take that, to learn about implants, to learn about cosmetics, to learn about the things that they really think that they would enjoy. You may find out you don't enjoy it after you take it and you go, hey, connective tissue grafting, Pat Allen in Dallas, the best in the business. I took his course. I never look at recession the same way again now. But I don't like doing the procedures. Jeff Boosky, my partner, he loves it. And so now I see it and I can refer it properly to someone who loves it. Endo, I'm not a big endo guy, although I'll do anteriors or single canals. But I had a guy, John Bond, specialist, who I loved. And every time I sent a patient to him, they came back. Not only did the patient love John, but his root canals look like state board cases. So I need to know what I don't know and what I don't want to do so that I can refer it to the best people. And that puts me at a level, I think that's hard to match, honestly.
Well, and that's the same thing what we do in the business side of things, like with PDA, with looking at the scheduling for productivity, looking at the business models, what they're doing. Are they growing their practice to an investment grade practice? Where are their goals in putting in that in alignment for that? And that's where in discovery sessions that we do and through coaching, we really execute on those systems and the processes, the verbiage through a discovery call that we start with and then build it into if is it a positive relationship? Because you talk about relationships a lot throughout your whole entire career is it has to be a partnership between two people going in the same direction. Otherwise, what are we doing? And that comes with your team as well. But that journey through career, if you had more coaches in your career, business coaches, how would have that affected your career path? And it's been a fabulous one over the course of decades that you've been doing this. Well, yeah. What would have it changed in the trajectory, or how fast would have it sped up to where you would have want to gone?
That's another good question. I probably had 7 different coaching organizations come into my office. I waited, though, until I was in that 7th, 8th, 9th year where I was really I felt like I had to do something. I had to find a better way of doing it because I was unhappy. And I think a lot of dentists are in that boat. And so I say, the sooner you can start doing that, the better. And then space clinical in with that. But the business aspect of it is critical. And again, the communication skills are critical. And what we do at PDA, which you have taken to a whole new level, is evaluate where the doc is. That's what we do. Where are you? How are you happy? Are you, what kind of dentistry do you love to do? Do you look at dentistry? What are your needs? What are your, holding up points? What are the things that are causing you stress? What are the things that are causing you fear? Because on the other side of fear is confidence. And when you have confidence, you can knock it out of the park. I was at the All-Star game last night and watching the guys come to the plate. These are the best baseball players in baseball. And just watching them come to the plate and their confidence and their ability to be able to execute at such a high level, I feel like I'm a well-oiled athlete. Now obviously I don't look like a well-oiled athlete, but when you're in dentistry and you have the confidence that you need to be able to tell a patient anything that they need to have done, then I don't know. I think there's something about that. Dentists, we think that all of our patients want to know the procedure and how it's done and everything else. And the truth is, they don't give a crap about that unless they're an engineer. Then they want to hear about it. They have to hear about it before they make a decision. But the truth is, 80% of your patients, if they like you, if you're confident, like when I tell a patient, I'd say, Brent, you're the perfect patient for this procedure. I mean, you really are. We've done hundreds or thousands of these, but you're the perfect case because of XYZ. When you smile, you show a big smile, and boy, if we did XY, it's going to be perfect. In other words, that's a voice of confidence. When you have that, the patients go, oh, okay, well, I'm the perfect case for this. Okay, well, how much is it? And I tell them, 100,000. It's not 100,000, but they go, oh my gosh, okay, well, I want to do it, so let me figure out a way to do it. And they want to do it. People who want to do something usually will find a way to do it. And we will help them with some creative financing, all those things. And we'll do the same thing at PDA. We'll find ways for you to do what you want to do. And I honestly believe after 20 years of doing Productive Dentist Academy and watching dentists grow their businesses from 800,000 in when we start with them to some of them $5 million, $7 million practices with EBITDAs or profits of 10% to all of a sudden growing their profits to 25 and 30% EBITDA margins. These are successful practices that have kind of, some people say drank the Kool-Aid. You kind of drank the Kool-Aid because hopefully it made sense. And, we're not guiding anybody down a path of unhappiness because for me, we're only on the planet for a short time. And by golly, I want to be happy. I want to have fun. My last 14 years in practice, I worked 2 days a week, for 14 years, so people say, good grief. Well, you probably didn't do much dentistry. Well, I was doing a couple $1 million a year on 2 days a week. Why? Because I could. And I had learned. And one of the other things that's another big thing that I haven't mentioned is delegation. And state of Texas, there's not a lot you can delegate, but you can delegate a lot more than you think. Your team training, your team taking care of them, making sure they know exactly what to do. When you have a procedure that you're doing, I train my team. This is the way I want it done. Whereas early in my career, I would go, I hired you as an assistant. Why in the heck don't you know how to do this? Well, nobody on the planet knows how I like to do it except me. And if I don't train somebody how to do it, well, then we're just causing a lot of stress and a lot of problems that we don't need. And so those are the things that, gosh, like I said, I had tons of consultants come in. I learned something from each one of them. And the things that we bring to our docs at PDA, you can choose how you want to go forward. And I think that's a big deal. But I don't want you to be producing $5 million a year and be unhappy. I don't want you to produce $1 million a year and be unhappy. What I want you to do is produce whatever amount of dentistry, take care of as many people as you love taking care of, and enjoying our time doing it. And, I didn't enjoy it the first 10 years, but boy, my last 15 to 20 years, I couldn't wait to go into the office. That's really weird. Most dentists get tired and don't want to go to the office as they get older. I had more energy because I had more time to spend with my family. I had more time. I actually had more time to spend with my patients because I came upon this comprehensive diagnosis and treatment planning, which changed everything in the cycle of dentistry for me. So.
Well, it brings up, I think there's some great case studies. One is Maggie Gustin. She tells the story very well. For those people that haven't read her case study or heard her testimonial of what she's done, and she presents on this in numerous different facets of, she was basically broke, and now it's grown to her practice to generational wealth. and her hearing that from Kyle Francis brought her to tears. And now she's gotten the practice to where she wants, and she's taking the time off to do the things that she wants to do and loves it. I can think of Ben Kelly Hughes, same thing, that they didn't want to hire a nanny. They didn't want they wanted to be with their children as they grew up. So they worked 2 days a week, and they've built their practice to what it is today. There's many different things. You've always talked about this, is profitability is great, but you can't put a price on time. So
Right.
with raising kids and raising things, it's not, yes, you need money. You need to have assets to live off of. But then at a certain point, we can start solving for the equation of time. Can we take a half day off? You challenged yourself doing that. And if I increase my profitability, could I take a half day off? Could I take a half day off? In the end, you got down to 2 days a week. You could probably took more off, but I know
Yeah.
your family would have kicked you out of the house, and you could
That's
only play
right.
so much golf a week as you're going there. But you also hit a great point in delegation, in the conversations that you're looking at. How you've had some great associates over of your time.
Fantastic.
Jeff Buski, who you mentioned, who was your partner, Jackson Bean, and there's a couple others in that sphere. Can you talk about the growth of clinical calibrating with them and the growth of an associateship and mentorship of those individuals, of what it meant to them, and getting them from a starting point to almost over $1 million associate, in things that you would have, one, wish you would have done better, and two, what is out there now to facilitate that?
Well, I tell you, my first probably 6 associates, I was not a good mentor. I wasn't a good manager. I wasn't a good boss, and I wasn't a good mentor for them for the most part. Not until I found out what I wanted to do and how I wanted to practice. A lot of dentists bring associates in, just they don't even know why they're bringing them in. They get upset with them. They're not at saturation, meaning saturation. They're not as efficient as they could be. They're not seeing the patients in the manner that they should be seeing them. And so they think, well, I'm just so busy, and I'm getting burned out because I'm having to do so much stuff. And they hire an associate. Well, now the associate starts seeing some of their patients, their salary goes down, and all of a sudden they're going like, oh my gosh, I don't like the associate, or I'm going to, it's a vicious cycle that happens. What I will tell you is, if you're an associate dentist, I just talked to one this last week in Dykema, and hopefully we're going to get him to come speak for us at some point. Young kid, 1 year out of school, just like Braden Baird, my nephew, who is just killing it, 1 year out of school. And he just said, I was in a situation for 6 months as an associate, and I just want to quit dentistry after 6 months. I just, I wasn't getting any help from anybody. The doctor, I thought they would want to help me. And he says, and now I'm 3 months into a new associateship position, and I love dentistry again. So how do we do that? Well, first of all, let's talk about being a mentor. Being a mentor is being a teacher, and you can't teach somebody who's not willing to learn. If you have an associate who has an attitude, has a chip on their shoulder, I'm a doctor, you're not, talking to the team, that kind of stuff, they self-eliminate themselves in my world. What I want is people who can smile, people who can talk to their patients, people who care about other people. And when you find them, when you find those folks, you just, I always joke at PDA, give me 100 docs. I will go through and interview each one of you for 2 minutes, and I'll figure out the top 20 producers, the top 20% of you. Why? Because you look at people in the eye, you smile, you're friendly. And we've taught thousands of engineers who usually have this furrowed brow and want to talk about the molecular structure of titanium. And they finally get it, and they realize, oh my gosh, they don't really care about all that. They really need to like me. And for most people, once they learn to do that, because I had to learn to be an engineer. because I just wasn't my deal. But what I will say is being a teacher or being a mentor and having someone that's a willing learner, you can take them, because I can take somebody who is right out of school and I can get them clinically proficient to do almost any kind of dentistry in 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years. Now, I may also be recommending, I want you to go see Carl Mish. Carl has passed now, but that's where I sent, I've sent so many friends through there. And I want you to go out to see Pete Dawson, or I want you to go see John Coy. It's hard to get in to see him. But at some point, I'm going, I've taught you, you've watched me communicate how to do these things. I'll help you, but I want you to get the basis behind it all. And that's really with our clinical calibration course that we're doing. This is our first time to do it this fall in September. We've been working on it for 5 years. We're going to have some of the best teachers in the country that'll be there, whether it be, clear aligners to implants to robotics to AI to aesthetics. We're going to have people that are going to be sharing with you as a young doc or as an older doc, doesn't make any difference. But once you calibrate yourself clinically, meaning, hey, I've got all these tools in the toolbox now. Now, you know what? I don't like these guys over here. I don't like doing those. Fine. At least you know now. At least you know now. Now you can focus on the things that you do like to do. And that's also where our marketing company comes in. Phoenix Marketing. Why market to get new patients when you don't even know what they need? It makes no sense. What I want to do is market to people who need what I love to do. That's called authentic marketing. And I want to market to those folks. Guess what? They come in. Now I'm doing things that I'm not fearful of. I have a lot of confidence in. And guess what happens? We get to do it. Now, I'm doing a comprehensive exam. I may find that they need connective tissue grafting. I might find they need XYZ. I don't care. Will I refer them? Absolutely. I may find you're not a good case for a sleep apnea device because you've had TMJ issues and everything else. That's not going to stop me from sending them to a sleep center or to someone who can get them on a CPAP. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, I'm going to have the best professionals available around me. But developing associates is critical. And taking the time to do it, getting an associate when you are saturated, meaning you really do, you're having overflow of patients. That's the time you need. When you think, oh, I want to work less. Oh, no. Now, you might want to work less in 5 years, but don't work less now. Help train that doc. Help them become the dentist that they want to be. Because there's always such positive things in giving back. I remember Jackson and standing over his shoulder when he was doing his first full arch. Great. I had so much fun. Jeff was the most highly trained dentist I'd ever seen. 7 years out of school, he probably had spent $500,000 just going to courses, but he was fearful. He still was afraid to take the step to actually put the implant in or to prep the bridge or to do the TMJ evaluation. And I told him, dude, you're one of the smartest dentists I know. Let's just do it. Do it. And so I would support him. I'd stand behind him. I said, I'm right here, man. Just do it. And those are the things that's what clinical calibration is about, to bring your associates to a program like this to where they go from, I would say the average associate in the country is probably producing $350 an hour. $350 an hour, that's not bad. But you give them clinical calibration as a gift, they're going to be doing probably $650 to $700 an hour, which doesn't sound like a big difference, except the fact that it's doubled. $300 an hour on an average 128-hour work month, 1,600 hours a year, that comes out to about $480,000 a year. Now, would that help your practice? Would that help your business? Would that make your associate one of the top paid associates in the country? Absolutely. Will they run off and go down the street? Some of them you want to go down the street. You find that out early on. But the ones that you want to stay because of the fact that you've helped, because of the fact you've been a friend and a mentor, And if they came to you and said, man, I really have an interest in buying into the practice. I have an interest in, Bruce, I really have an interest in opening up my own place. I go, I had that same interest about 25 years ago. I say, how can I help you? Let's talk about it. Let's find a way. Life's too short, man. Just try to help people get what they want, and you're going to end up getting what you want too. And our clinical calibration course is the best course I've ever seen. And we've been working on it and busting our butts. We're going to have some of the best speakers. Lincoln Harris from Australia is going to come. We're going to have Jackson Bean speaking. We're going to have Jeff Buski speaking. We're going to have associates that were in my practice. And it's going to be quite a September this year. So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, it's going to be a great 20th anniversary celebration.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy that you started this over 20 years ago and it's grown to what it is today. Want to wrap up on a couple of different points that you said. One, you said benefits of seeking support and having people around you was very important. Also, overcoming fear, because in a lot of discovery sessions I do is I come and I facilitate. Where do they want to go? What do they want to do? Here are all these things. They're doing marketing that's just drawing whomever, not hitting those patients. But they get to a point of, I'm fearful. It's a step to, it's in the going into the uncomfortable zone. You talked about Jeff taking that first step. It's like that baby step when you have a young child of, okay, are they going to take it? And they sit down. Yeah. They take it up, they sit out. And how or what would you say to those individuals that are, one, fearful to look at their practice in a business lens, and two, fearful of taking a step forward in moving their business forward in a direction that
right? Yeah, to me, it is, it's fear of failure. It's fear of rejection. You tell a patient they need this and they say, no, I don't really want to do that, or whatever. And those are all, things that, how does it affect you? Well, if a patient says no to me now, I go, well, no problem. I certainly understand. You know why? Because I have 10 more patients coming in that need the same thing that you do. And I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm just going to share with you what I would do if it was me. And that is my entire case presentation. Brent, I've looked at your situation. We've talked about your risk factors and everything else. Gosh, we could go 10 different ways. If you could go to 10 dentists, you'd get 10 different treatment plans. You know that? And I said, what's important is let me just share with you what I would do if it was me. And then I share that with them. When you see an associate that's afraid to move forward, be their mentor by saying, you know what? I felt the same way. All of us felt the same way. The first time you ever hit a golf ball, you feel like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. I feel like that sometimes when I hit it today. But, every day is not going to be, the music's not going to be playing, and the truth is, dentistry is difficult. Dealing with people on a day-to-day basis is difficult. But if you know where you want to go, take that step. Babe Ruth struck out more times than anybody in history, but he also hit more home runs than anybody else in history. Michael Jordan, they talk about Jordan. You go through all this. These are people who have an unrelenting desire to be the best they can be. And, Jeff Buski is going to be speaking at the meeting about a lot of things that are along those lines. You've got to make the move. You've got to take that step. And I can promise you, if you're there as the senior doc or mentor, and you are a friend to that young doc, and you are understanding that where they are and how, let me help you, they will become the best associate doc you can imagine, and eventually a partner doc, just like the other dentist that worked with me. They'll become a partner in what we do. Why? Because I enjoy working with them, and I'm only working 2 days a week. So I need somebody else there to take care of other patients. So I'm telling you, not only can we get you to where you're working 2 or 3 days a week, if that's what you choose, but we can also help train your associates so they're producing 800 to 1,000 an hour. My nephew right now, Braden, 13 months out of dental school, he's producing 1,200 an hour right now. That's 4 times the national or 3 times the national average. He's killing it. Is he just cutting teeth everywhere? No, he's learned to communicate. He started coming to PDA when he was in dental school. Same thing, Eric Roman, who's built enormous businesses and everything else. He first came to PDA when he was a senior in dental school. And he is just, now he'll be speaking at our meeting in September. These are people who have done it and have been there. And so I think support, people sometimes need that little baby that's taking that step. They're going to screw up. That's okay. They're going to fall down. It's okay. You just you don't give up on people. And now I give up on people if they believe that it's all about them. If it's all about them, I just don't like being around people like that. And sometimes you'll bring an associate in, they're there for a month or two, and you go, man, this just doesn't fit. I want somebody who loves other people, wants to take care of them, wants to be the best dentist they could be, and wants to enjoy dentistry, enjoy life, have fun, leave a legacy, all of those things. And you'll know it when you find them. You know it. But then what ends up happening is I think we get afraid to help them and get them along because they're going to leave. They're going to go somewhere else someday. Well, you know what? If that's what you're worried about, then that's probably what's going to happen. If you're just worried about helping somebody, guess what? They end up staying around, or you end up helping them find a location for their own practice. But it is what it is, And I enjoy helping other people get what they want, and I think it's allowed and helped us to be where we want to be with leaving a legacy, a legacy of love. And we've got some great videos and great stuff that we kind of laid the basis for that years ago. So, yeah, that's it.
Well, and I think you hit a couple points and you worked with is in dentistry, you've made a lot of dreams become realities for a lot of patients in your career. Same thing on the coaching side. We've made a lot of dreams come realities for a lot of our clients that we've worked with over the years. And it's because we believe every dentist deserves an investment grade practice to live the lifestyle that they want to live on their terms. Yeah. And I know that's one of your parts, and you want to change the industry and many different factors in that realm. And I know as we look at it, it pains both you and Victoria to say the stat in front of the stage. It's 95% of dentists cannot retire and live the life that they are currently living and live the lifestyle. Yeah. To us, that's a travesty. And we want to make sure through a discovery, getting you on the path of your journey, on your roadmap to where you want to go, because it's your destination, much like your patients, like you talked about. You can help them. You're a guide to this. They're their own hero. They can do it. Same thing with what we do. We can help guide practices, and you've done it for 20 years now. And it's something to celebrate. Is where do they want to go? And once you see them cross that finish line and get that, because you've seen many of them cross that finish line. You've helped many of them do transactions. Some of them happier than others. Some of them ready to retire. You've crossed that line.
Yep.
What does that look like for you and those that have done it?
Yeah. What's funny is, we're talking about, I don't know what we charge for, $1,495 or something, or it's $2,100, but we'll get you a scholarship, whatever, down to $1,495. I mean, people go to Del Frisco's and buy a really nice bottle of wine and spend that in a single evening. It's a good evening. It is, with no expectation of getting paid back except for the experience. Coming to this, we have Emmett Smith's going to be a keynote speaker for us at the meeting. Spending $1,500 for your associate to come to a program like this to give them an opportunity to be something special in your business, I mean, I don't know. That's a no-brainer. If you ever wonder about that, all you have to do is reach out to Productive Dentist Academy, talk to Brent. He'll send you 5 case studies of docs who've done it. Now, we could do 500 case studies. We've done 5, okay, and all different avenues. But you'll read those case studies, you're going to go, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to be like that. Or you're going to look at it and say, I want my associate to be that. I want that to happen for you. And so you'll get repaid that $1,500 back in the first month, guaranteed, not even close. If your production goes up $50 an hour, you 5 times paid for it. And $50 an hour is like, I don't know, you got to be brain dead not to go up. It's $50 an hour is another, whatever it is,
about 200 a week, or $50 over.
$6,000.
$6,000. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's just, it's just what it is. And so I challenge everybody listening, come to the September program. We had another one in March. We have a lot of new things that are going to be happening. We're going to have some exciting announcements. It's going to be fun, and you'll get to meet some people who are in the exact same boat you are, and build relationships and build friendships that you'll have for the next 30 years. Now, I may not be around in 30. I'm hopeful, but I probably won't be jumping around like I am today. So, but I look forward to seeing you guys at the program.
Awesome. Thanks, Bruce.
All right. Thanks, Brent, for being on the show and asking the tough questions that I always have to try to ask myself. And it sure makes it a lot easier with you on with me. So thanks. And hey, thank you guys for voting Productive Dentist podcast as the #1 podcast in dentistry. Look us up on all the channels, and do me a favor, if you would. You do me a favor. Send us some friends. Send us some friends to come to the course too, because hey, you're just getting started. I can't tell you how many people I've sent through, all the programs. Why? Because I experienced something that was great, and I want to share that. So anyway, thanks again.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Productive Dentist Podcast. If you found this episode helpful, make sure you subscribe. Pass it along to a friend. Give us a like on iTunes and Spotify, or drop me an email at podcast@productivedentist.com. Don't forget to check out other podcasts from the Productive Dentist Academy at productivedentistpodcast.com. Join me again next week for another episode of the Productive Dentist Podcast.